Welcome to Book Buddies, where today I have a very sort of crazy book to review it with, Once a Pirate. This is a story about a modern woman named Carly who ends up as the captive to a 19th century pirate named Andrew. She doesn't know how she got there, and he believes that she is the fiancée of his nemesis and has no idea that she is a modern woman. So I love how unique this premise is, having a modern woman end up in the 19th century. And there's a lot of humor from it, and there's not too much of the whole Carly pulls of this is so not how you do this. I never got the vibe that this was shaming the bad old days, which I enjoyed. In fact, as the story goes on, Carly welcomes the idea of just staying in the 19th century more and more. And as for some of the humor from the story, Carly, initially she still thinks that she's in the modern day. I mean, she started in a plane flying, and then there was a storm, and she ends up in the 19th century, and she doesn't know that. She's trying to explain what's going on. She's asking for a radio to call somebody, and they have no idea what she's talking about, and it leads to some of the funniest moments of this story. Now, as for Carly, I quite enjoyed her. I appreciated that she was in her late 20s as opposed to a teenager. I mean, I think this is more of an adult book than a young adult book. But once again, after reading dozens of books where the main character is a teenager, reading an adult protagonist can be a breath of fresh air. But I liked how she was charming, she was intelligent, and she was also very easy to sympathize with. When at the beginning of the story, it's I believe her mom recently died, and she feels like she's alone, especially because her fiancé left her. And throughout the story, you understand why she's thinking the way she does, and you understand why she made a lot of her choices. Now, as for Andrew, he's a very interesting character. He starts off as a bit of an anti-hero. He takes Carly captive, and he's not really listening to her, believing her when she says that she's not Lady Amanda, she's not his nemesis's fiance. He has the wrong girl, and he doesn't believe her. Although admittedly, Carly's story of being a modern woman who ended up in the 19th century is so out there. I don't blame him for not believing her at the start. And we also get to see more about why he is the way he is, and how that specifically affects his relationship with not just Carly, but also with his crew. Specifically, there is one character where you're like, why is he constantly hanging out with this guy? He's not a nice dude, and nobody really seems to like him. But then when you continue on with the story, you learn more about the backstory, and you understand the bond between these two characters, even though they're really not that close. And then when it comes to his relationship with Carly, I did think it was a little bit too focused on attraction. I don't think this story would happen or work as well if they were average looking people. And the pace of it was kind of all over the place. I mean, I think they were she gives him a quick kiss in chapter 5, I want to say, and there's a lot of kissing throughout, even though he thinks that they can't be with each other. And I was a little confused. It's is this a forbidden romance? If so, why are you constantly making out with each other every couple of chapters? However, similar to some of the characters and the relationship, you like them as a couple more and more, once you know more about them and you see how they're similar in their situations. And by the end of it, I'm not going into spoilers, but when they believe that there is a chance that they can't be with each other, you feel upset because you've seen everything that they've gone through. I believe it said that like weeks or even months have passed throughout this story. So you know they've spent a lot of time. They've gone through a lot together, and you want them to be together and happy. And you see how much Carly has affected for not just Andrew, but also his crew for the best. And his crew is full of a lot of fun characters. I believe there's a younger character who latches on. I think Carly might even like teach him to read or something. And you get to see some fun pirate shenanigans and duels with both swords, but also some pistols, which was a lot of fun. Overall, I wouldn't say this is one of my favorite pirate stories. I personally prefer the Daughter of the Pirate King duology, but this was still a lot of fun. And I think if you enjoy the spice and romance that comes from Bridgerton, but also the spirit and adventure that comes from a classic pirate story, this might be for you. So, those were all my thoughts. If you enjoyed this, please share it with your friends. I'm Louisa Hammond, and I'll see you next time. Although, I do want to just give a quick look at my outfit. Yep, wearing a corset for this one, because I am committed to dressing on theme for my episodes.